Hyperion Energylandia is the tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster in all of Poland. This Intamin megacoaster is arguably the Polish park's most popular attraction, and it's not hard to see why. This coaster is a statistical monster, and it also features a fantastic layout combining elements of both an out and back coaster and a twister. But how do those elements in that layout stack up? Find out in this review of Hyperion. Some parks are secretive when they're planning a new attraction, hiding all details until announcement day. Some parks release teasers. Energylandia did something really unique. The park wanted to build a hypercoaster, and the project came down to two proposals, one from Vekoma and one from Intamin. Energylandia had the public vote which coaster they'd prefer. Both proposals had similar layouts. Both started as out and back layouts before transitioning into a compact twister. Vekoma hadn't and still hasn't built a traditional hypercoaster to date, so while their layout looked incredible as well, it's not too surprising the Intamin concept won out given the company's track record with comparable coasters. Hyperion opened for the 2018 season. It would be the park's 12th coaster, which was an astounding feat for a park that was just in its 5th season. Until Hyperion opened, all of Energylandia's coasters had been off-the-shelf clones. But Hyperion was different. It gave the park a unique coaster that couldn't be found elsewhere, and an elite one too. Hyperion has a commanding presence as you enter Energylandia. The coaster's dark black track and massive camelbacks run alongside the parking lot. It is impossible to miss this coaster as you approach the park, and it gets visitors hyped for their visit. Many guests want to make this coaster their first stop, and that is definitely what happens. Hyperion is not only a highly popular coaster, but is the closest ride to the main entrance. The coaster is less than a 1-minute walk from the turnstiles. So in a similar fashion to what you see with Candymonium at Hershey Park, this hypercoaster gets absolutely slammed after opening. This is when the ride sees its longest waits all day. Even if you're one of the first people in the park, it still may not be prudent to hit Hyperion first. On the days I visited the park, Hyperion opened exactly at the park's posted opening time. Meanwhile, there were several other rides and attractions that opened a half hour early. The fact Hyperion doesn't open early and also sees heavy crowds at opening means you should probably come back in the early to mid-afternoon for the shortest waits. On one of my days, Hyperion was a near walk-on at this time. The line does spike back up towards the end of the night as people leave the water park and want one last ride before leaving the park at night. But you can enter the queue line right before closing to get that last ride. There is one way to bypass the wait entirely. Hyperion is on Energylandia's Fastpass system. All park guests can get one free ticket to skip this coaster's line per day. You get these tickets at a kiosk adjacent to the coaster's main entrance as of 2021, and you get a 10-minute window to come back. Hyperion's queue line is split up into two components. You have an indoor and an outdoor section. Assuming Hyperion is running 2 trains and all the outdoor section is filled, Hyperion has roughly a 50 to 60 minute wait. I strongly recommend checking where this outdoor queue line is before getting in line. This is because Hyperion has one of the most infuriating queue lines ever devised. If you saw my Zadra review, you know how bad that queue line is. Hyperion's is similarly bad. The indoor queue line is a seemingly endless series of ramps that spirals around the perimeter of the building. Then you go outdoors and have to climb down way too many staircases to count. The queue line is tiring and there is no way to bypass this workout, even if Hyperion is a walk-on. Even if the ride has a wait, I still have some issues with this setup. Most of the wait will take place in the outdoor section. However, the coaster has theming in the indoor section that guests breeze right by. I wish this setup was reversed so you could actually appreciate the theming while waiting. I also dislike how wide open the queue line is. While this may seem like a positive, it leads to a whole lot of line jumping as people fill any and all available spaces. Many rides at Energylandia have this issue, and Hyperion was one of the most egregious. Once you reach the end of this queue line, there are 4 turnstiles. If this sounds familiar, this is the same setup used in Zadra, and I really hate this chaotic process. All 4 turnstiles are automatic and unmanned. After each cycle, a monitor above the turnstile displays how many riders can go through. The left one is for the front row. This one lets in 4 riders each cycle, and this one made sense. And if you're a single rider, keep an eye on this line because single seats would pop up every few trains. The second from the left is supposed to be for single riders. On paper, that sounds like a great idea to ensure that every seat is filled. But this line lets in 6 riders each time, regardless of how many people are in from the other rows. And then once the doors to the station open, this single rider line has access to all the rows. More or less, the single rider line ended up being for rows towards the front of the train. The 2 on the right are listed for all other rows. Each turnstile allows 8 riders. And if you're doing the math, this means that Hyperion only lets in 26 riders through the turnstiles instead of the 28 that it can accommodate. Typically, the right turnstile will reactivate at the very end to then allow an extra 2 riders through to fill the final seats. When the doors open, it is a scramble to get the row you want. The back was my favorite seat by a slim margin, so I could experience that first drop and fall, so I would typically wait at the turnstile so I was the first one through and the first one at the door. This maximized my odds of getting that row. The front was excellent as well, for the superior sense of speed, so you should try both the front and back if possible. Hyperion Station and interior queue line have a futuristic sci-fi theme to them, with the metallic architecture and lighting. I think it looks great, and it really captures the feel the park was going for. The coaster itself doesn't have any theming along the course, but a hypercoaster like this doesn't really need any. Now let's talk about the trains. These trains seat 4 riders per row and have 7 rows. They look very similar to the trains used on Skyrush, but there are some key differences. The middle seats are higher like those on Skyrush, but the outer seats have a floor beneath them. Those in the middle will have their feet dangling like the newer Intamin launch coasters, while those on the outside will have their feet resting firmly on the floor. And I am torn where I prefer to sit. Some of the turns are wilder on the outer seats, but I do like the floorless feeling being high above the floor in those middle seats. As for the Restraints, they are Intamin's new generation lap bars. The contouring is very comfortable, and you will have no trouble experiencing the ride's forces. The staff will push the Restraints down pretty firmly though. Part of this is because of how quickly they check the trains. Stacking on Hyperion is exceedingly rare. The ride is a large crew, and they check Restraints like a well-oiled machine. This helped keep the ride's queue line moving at a consistent pace, even on busy weekends. Hyperion begins with a brisk 253-foot or 77-meter tall lift hill. It is shocking how much faster this lift hill is than Intamin's early hypercoasters. And in no time, you are thrown over the 269-foot or 82-meter tall drop. The drop is nearly vertical at 85 degrees, and this drop is excellent. It offers strong and sustained ejector airtime in the back rows. Meanwhile, those up front even get some sustained floater airtime because of how the drop is profiled. This is one of the best drops in the world without a doubt, between the strength of the airtime and how much it's sustained due to the ride's height. You then dive into an underground tunnel, hitting your top speed of 88 miles per hour or 142 kilometers per hour, and the pullout is quite intense. Hyperion pulls 4.5 Gs, and I'm nearly certain this is where it occurs. This pullout offers some strong positive Gs, and I started to gray out ascending the second hill on each ride. And that second hill was the highlight of the ride for me. It is one of the best airtime hills in the world. This giant camelback offers several seconds of very strong and sustained ejector airtime. This hill is on par with the 4th hill in Six Flags New England's Superman the Ride, or one of the camelbacks in Expedition G-Force between the airtime strength and how long it is sustained. The pullout from this camelback delivers another blast of positive Gs before traversing the ride's turnaround. But this is no ordinary turnaround. It's actually an inversion, more specifically a dive loop. Unlike the B&M dive loops that start the flip before you reach the apex of the element, this twist doesn't occur until the apex. This is similar profiling to the original RMC Raptors. This results in riders getting airtime. It was an ejector, but was very nice and sustained floater airtime. And that airtime was paired with absolutely wicked laterals in the descent as you abruptly rotate 180 degrees towards the ground. This element had better laterals on the left side of the train, and the element felt wilder overall in the back because the floater airtime was sustained for the duration of the dive. and the dive had some good head choppers with the support structure to boot. Hyperion then rockets through its Stengle dive. The element twists to the left and gives some strong and abrupt laterals, and if you're on the right side of the train, you even get a pop of airtime with it. This reminded me of the Stengle dive on Skyrush before the third turnaround. I expected the next two elements to be great, but they were actually letdowns and the ride's one weakness. You then whiz over this tiny speed hill and beautiful looking camelback. I expected the speed hill to deliver a violent pop of ejector airtime, and for the camelback to ride like Hyperion's second hill. So imagine my shock to discover that the speed hill only had this itty bitty pop of floater airtime, and even worse, the camelback had zero airtime. These two elements look like they should be two of the best in the ride, but they feel very tame compared to the rest of Hyperion. Hyperion then cruises around a decently forceful overbank before returning to form. The elements in this coaster's second half are comically tiny compared to the jumbo camelbacks in the first half, so the pacing in the second half is incredible. Hyperion kicks off that second half via another speed hill, but this one thankfully delivers a quick pop of ejector airtime. You are then flung through yet another Stengle dive with no time to rebound. This one rode similarly to the first one, except this one twists to the right, so this time those on the left side of the train get that pop of airtime with the crazy laterals. The following turn hugs the ground, and I started to gray out on most rides from the positives. I wasn't expecting this turn to do that. Hyperion then flies over an S-hill, and this one had a quick ejector pop, which was more pronounced in the back of the train. And that airtime was paired with a pinch of laterals too. Hyperion then zips over one last bunny hill. This one has a great head chopper with a support on the way up, and the element itself offers some good and sustained flagector airtime. You also have these fountains that shoot up alongside the train, and if you're in one of the back edge seats, prepare to get wet because the water will shoot right back into you. You then jump up into the brake run, getting some decent flagector airtime before coming to a smooth stop, ending the 4,760 foot or 1,450 meter long coaster. In terms of smoothness, I had no issues with Hyperion. Some of the high G pullouts and fast turns had a faint rattle to them, but the rest of the tracking was very smooth, regardless if I was in a middle or edge seat. I know a few people who have gone in the past and found the edge seats shaky, so I'm not sure if that's an issue time to time or with specific trains. So what would I rate Hyperion? Based off my rides, I would give this Intamin Hypercoaster a 9.5 out of 10. 3/4 of Hyperion is perfect. The first drop through the first Stengle dive offers a mix of powerful airtime, positive Gs, and sensational laterals. Then the second half offers a similarly strong mix of laterals and airtime. The coaster just has that aforementioned lull in the middle that disrupts the otherwise flawless pacing. If those elements delivered, Hyperion likely would have made my top 10 steel coasters. However, Hyperion is still an excellent roller coaster with one of the best layouts ever devised. This layout and overall ride reminds me of Six Flags New England's Superman the Ride because of how it incorporates elements of both an out and back and twister into one complete ride experience. Zadra is my favorite coaster at Energylandia, but Hyperion is an incredible second fiddle that would be the signature attraction at most parks. So those are my thoughts on Hyperion, the Intamin Mega Coaster at Energylandia. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Do you think it's one of the world's best steel coasters? I would love to hear your thoughts about this ride down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.